I'm reading Maseches. I'm like, why am I reading Maseches? I should really read it.
Oh, because you learn.
No, did you do 9 psukim, 10 psukim?
What page?
Zayin Amud
Zayin.
Amud Aleph. So yeah, so we're gonna do this, and after Sukkot and Mitzvah, we'll start Al Seder from the beginning of the Masechta. That's the last one that we're gonna jump around a little bit, learning a couple of things that are connected to the days that we find ourselves in the Aseret Zemei Tshuva. Okay, so the Zayin Amud Aleph, the Mishnah on top. Ba'arba Pakim Oil Nidan. 4 times does the world get judged. The Pesach al Atvua, Pesach, the world gets judged. But the bountiful, you have fields, anything that grows, flour, wheat, etc. Batzeres al Peres, at Shavuos, he gets judged for Peres. Or Ilan, the fruit that grow on the trees. Rosh Hashana, Kol Bo'er, even the fun of Kivin Moran. And Rosh Hashana, all the inhabitants, all the humans of the world, including the Goyim, go in front of the Eibishter, Kivnei Moran. The Gemara is going to explain what Moran is at the end of the next page. Shenema hayoytze yachad limam hamevin akomaseim. Here the pshat would be that the Eibishter that created everyone, hamevin akomaseim, he can look at all their deeds. Now, what does that have to do with Rosh Hashana? Adam Rishon was created on the day of Rosh Hashana. On that day, maybe in Komasem, you also understand his deeds. And we're going to see soon in the Dan, a very interesting Dan. We're going to learn a shtickle Dan. Ubechag, on Tzukas, Nidoin al-Amayim. Why each one is for its own thing, that's a different discussion. How do we see Pesach? We're actually going to just discuss a little bit more the Rosh Hashana, Kivin Moran, and how it pertains to us.
What page is it in?
Here's the fruits, Shavuos. Why? Because these are the time for Pesach is the time when you cut the no, don't cut the wheat. You plant the wheat. It's Tu B'Shvat.
Yeah, so what's
okay, so that's a machlokes. That's a machlokes. First of all, there's a difference between exactly being judged, and there's a lot of different. You see, the Gemara is going to say that the judgment and the Day of Shana could be very different. The fruits start growing after Shavuos. That's when many of the fruits are growing and they're ripe by Sukkos. So it's like you're judging them according to what's going to happen. Rosh Hashana, everyone goes in front of the Eibishter Kivnei Moran. On a side note, it says Tosis Pesach al Tvua. The Perek Misha Meisei Mutal Afonov. Gemara and Brachas. Very, very interesting story. The story goes like this. The Gemara brings a long story that Chassid Sheknitisai Ishta Erev Rosh Hashana. A Chassid, it was a hungry year, and Erev Rosh Hashana, this Chassid gave a poor person some money to buy food. So the wife found out, he gave away his money, she got upset. He kicked him out of the house. I didn't say kick him out of the house, but he basically, instead of dealing with it, he decided, you know what, I'm not going to sleep at home. I don't have a couch at home in those days. Let's go sleep somewhere else. What's the best place to sleep on? A fat place, flat surface, and basic others. So he went to sleep in the cemetery. And the cemetery. And he middle of the night, he hears 2 duchos, because the shamas or something talking to each other. One is telling the other one, let's go fly and listen. We had this already in Sanhedrin. We had it in my Katan, or Chagiga, sorry. The Eibishter, right before the Eibishter, there's a curtain, Palgoid. But now we're going to say in Kippur, it says that he heard Shemati Machoya Palgoid. I heard from behind the curtain. So the Neshama says, let's go listen to what's happening behind the curtain. Let's see what kind of bad things are going to come to this world this year. So her friend says, I can't fly with you because I didn't go deep in the reasoning why, but she says, I'm wrapped. They buried me with almost like the schach that we have, the roll-up schach that we have, machtzela shel konim, like a bamboo mat. They buried me with it, and therefore I can't leave my place. Something like that. Why, I don't know, but that's how the story goes. But you go and tell them what they say. So she went and she heard that there are three times of rains back then. There was Yud Zayin Malcheshvan, Chav Gimel Malcheshvan, Chodesh Kislev. These are the 3 rains that in order for the produce to grow. It says there that anyone that plants in the first one, something bad will happen. and everything will be wiped out. So this chassid, everyone went and ran to plant their stuff, and it's before Yudzayin Macheshvan, everything got wiped out by a storm or something, a hail. But this guy waited till the second round, and Itaki had beautiful crops. Okay, second year decided, why should I get into a fight with my wife and then go to Beis HaKvalas? Let me go to Beis HaKvalas and sleep there. So he went to Beis HaKvalas again, and slept there, and he hears again the same thing, they're discussing, and she said, I can go, and okay, go and tell me what the Abish is, what you hear from behind the palgat, behind the curtain, and she comes back and says that I heard that this time it's the opposite, or something. One of the things, basically, if you plant in a certain season, it's not going to go, the second season it's going to go. So he does that, and everyone else gets wiped out, and his wife catches on. It's like, my husband is a chassid, not a. How do you know these tricks? So he told her. So, anyways, it says later on that this wife of this chassid got into a fight with the mother of one of the neshamas, or the one that was buried with machzel with the wrapped on. So he said, "I'm going to say something," and next year tries to come again, and the neshama said, "No, whatever we talk, then the people don't hear." And so, but anyways, over there we see that on Rosh Hashana, this happened at Rosh Hashana. On Rosh Hashana, he goes and hears, what does he hear? About Tavua. He hears about that there is going to be a, what's it called? So, how does the Gemara say here, the Pesach ala Tavua? Rosh Hashana, you judge it in Tavua. So this gives two answers. On Rosh Hashana, you heard these two luchas talking to each other. They heard behind the curtain, that he plants in the first rain, a hail will come wipe it out. And the one answer is maybe in Shemaim they spoke about what happened the previous Pesach. So Pesach, the previous year, what the Tavua was judged, and in Shemaim they spoke about Rosh Hashana. That's one answer. We're going to see a shita of the Yehuda, the Oma, HaKoilin during Rosh Hashana. Everything gets judged Rosh Hashana, including Tavua. When is the final? When do you sign the dotted line? The Pesach al Tavua, and that's why they heard Rosh Hashana. They heard this, and then Pesach and Amisha says Pesach al Tavua. Let's go into Gemara a little bit. I'm going to skip the first couple lines because it's talking about the Tavua. What happens when what happens if the Tavua goes bad? Is this being the judgment the year before, the year later? We're going to go to again what's negated to us.
I have the same exactly. I have the same shayla about Rabbi Collins.
Or about someone that's
When did they should decide that? The previous Rosh Hashana or that one?
that morning.
If it's that
Or
morning
that night.
after the shreif, like
We'll
it's very
see.
busy.
We'll see. The Gemara discuss it. Mani masnissen. The Gemara, it's a couple lines down, like to me 10 lines down. There's a dot, kadim salik, and then there's mani masnissen. According to who does this Mishnah go that says that the world is judged on 4 different occasions? It says the Mishnah, says the Gemara, it can't be any of these 3. 4. The Tanya, everyone is judged on Rosh Hashana. Judged. Everything in the world, everything, fruits, vegetable trees, everything is judged on Rosh Hashana, and there's 10 days, and then the Gzal Din is on Yom Kippur. So Meir says there's 2 dates. Rosh Hashana, Yom Kippur, everything is Rosh Hashana, everything is Yom Kippur. So it can't be the Mishnah. Correct. Everything is judged on Rosh Hashana. But Gzadin Shalhem Nechtem Kol Echad Vechad Bizmaneh. But the Gzadin, the final stamp, saying that this is it, the judge, the final verdict, each one at his own time. Pesach ala Tavua, Batzeres ala Pesach Ilim, B'chagim Din Amayim. So yeah, V'adam Nidin Rosh Hashana Gzadin Shalhem Nechtem Yom Kippur. Rabbi says everyone is judged on Rosh Hashana. The Gzadin, everyone is different. The person's Gzadin is Yom Kippur. And everything else is different. So again, not like the Mishnah. The Mishnah says Nido, and it doesn't talk about the Gzadin. Rabbi Yosef says no, every single day a person is judged. But if every morning there's a pkidah, there's a certain remembering, the Eibusha judges you. Even more than that. Every moment the person is judged. Every moment you're going to be boichin, I'm going to check you out. So according to who is this Mishnah? So he gives one answer. Maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is the closest because Rabbi Yehuda says everything one is judged on Rosh Hashana, but the Gzal Din is on their date, and maybe the Mishnah is talking about the Gzal Din. maybe you say it's Rabida, v'chiktana masnisen, and then when the Mishnah mentioned all the different dates, Agzadin is talking about the final verdict. Adam, a person in our Mishnah talks about the Shoshana. It doesn't talk about. Rabida says the Gzadin of a person is in Kippur. And if you say that the Mishnah talks only about the verdict, then in this Mishnah it should have brought an Im Kippur, not a Shoshana. If this Mishnah speaks about judgment, fine. But if the Mishnah talks about the verdict, it should have brought an Im Kippur. Kasha Adam, Amaravas gives a different answer. He finds a fifth Tana. High Tana de Vega Bishmoili, the Tana de Vega Shmuel, Ba'aba Pokem El Nidoin, Bepesach Al Tvua, Betzeres Al Pez, Ilan, Bechag Nidin Al Mayim, V'od Nidmo Shon, Zadin Shel Nechtem Im Kippur. He brings everything down, like the Mishnah. The only thing he adds about the Gzadin. The Gzadin is Nechtem Yom Kippurim. And basically, the Chiktonim is not Cholasadin, but the Mishnah is talking about the beginning of the judgment. So Pesach is the beginning, or could also be the end of the judgment. We're not talking about the end of the judgment. And our Mishnah is talking about just the beginning of the judgment. When does the Yid get judged? When does it start? He's starting being judged in Rosh Hashana. The Mishnah doesn't talk about verdict. And that's why it doesn't bring Yom Kippur. So that goes well according to Rabbi Shmuel. Okay? Let's finish this next few lines. My time with Rabbi Yossi. What's the reason of Rabbi Yossi that he says that every day a person is judged? What do you mean? What's his reasoning? It says, it brings a pasuk. Every morning you're judged. No, no, anan hachim. And this is my question. My timer. Why, if Rab Nassan had a good pasuk showing that a person can be judged daily, and it does not agree according to all the other opinions that there are different dates in the calendar, if you want to make it shorter, why don't you go according to Rab Nassan? It says daily. My time Rab Nassan. And for that, bechina iyuna be'almehi. The Amnasan brings a pasuk that he's checking them out. So that is not a judgment. That's just gathering evidence. That's not a judgment. So the Gemara asks again about the Abazoi. Pekida is the same idea. He says vatifkaden lavkalim that he will be remembered in the morning. Pekida nama yunabiam. It's also only like evidence based, not a judgment. It's not a judging. And Amochiz the time of Rabbi Yossi, the real reason of Rabbi Yossi is mihacham. It says in Pasuk, Lasois Mishpat Avdoi, he does the Mishpat of his Eved, of his servant, or Mishpat Amri, the Mishpat of his nation, Yisrael, Yoim Beyoim on a daily basis. According to Chassidus, we know already anyways, the Rosh Hashana is the general judgments on a daily basis. The reason why we daven every day, because every day we got to bring it down, we got to draw it down. So, here's a interesting side thing I printed out. This is the Dan on Rosh Hashana. Make it easier to find. I added little markers on it. Huh? Yeah, so we're gonna go all the way on the top, Masnissen. So this is the prima of the Gemara, the Dan is over there, the Nissim is over here. So Masnissen, Baba Pakim B'Shana, all the way on top. Baba Pakim B'Shana Oilam Nidoin, Timhani. I had a question. The fact that a person is judged on Rosh Hashana, we learn from the Torah. The Chsiv Meresh Hashana, the Ach Hashana, that a person is judged at the beginning and the end of the year. Meresh Hashana need my Besoifa. We are feeling Tishu, and we know that the Rosh Hashana is called Tishrei. The Chsiv Tik B'Ched Shoyf B'Cheslim Chagenu is a Chag Shachet Mischaza by B'Ayim Hashana. Basically, just saying that okay, Rosh Hashana is the day that the Yidden are judged. Chsiv Kechoik L'Yisrael. That day is also chayk. That day is a judgment for Yidden. Okay, this is B'Mar Pirkin, like it's present in Gemara in Rosh Hashana. Tavches. Elohane Shloish Pirkin Achinim B'Boyli Minol Lehu L'Rabbanon. The other three things that he mentioned: Pesach, Tvua, Tzeres, Peres, and Rosh Hashana, and water during Sukkot. What is in order from? So he says, it's very simple. The logic tells me the Torah tells us bring oyim Pesach. Why would the Torah tell us to bring oyim, which is wheat, on Pesach? Because that's when you judge for wheat. But it's not such a partial answer because on by Atzeres you bring shtei lechem that's not wheat. That's not.
Shtei lechem is not fruit either.
It's not fruit either. Exactly. Come on, see, in those days and those times, the world is judged. That's what the Eibusha told us to bring those items on those dates because He wanted us to bless Bless us on those days. Sukashili. Kivan Shatan did Rosh Hashana. This is what I want to really do. Kivan Shatan did Rosh Hashana. Vadea kolamu eshloi no denoi soyal tvoisa v'peroisa v'shal iskav. What does it mean to judge a person? Is judging a person just if he's going to live or die? Or is judging a person? We know in Rosh Hashana we're asking for everything. We're asking for parnasa, we're asking for our kids, we're asking for chayim, we're asking for health. So what does it mean that there are different dates that the tvua is judged, the different dates of fruits are judged? Isn't everything connected to us, and we are asking everything on Rosh Hashana? That's what the man is asking. Everything is judged on Rosh Hashana. So v'nichali, so it says like this: Shegimel dvar malanu denechal olam, begimel zmanim elo. These three items: tvuos, pedos ilan, fruits, and water. They have three specific dates. Again, why those dates? Because it's connected to what they're doing those days. The Eibusha judges in those days what will happen in the world. How much are you going to tap into for that year into the other brachas? How much are you tvua? How much wheat are you going to get from what was judged in the world on Pesach? That is decided on Rosh Hashana. Later on, every day to bring it down. So basically, that explains that even though we have those other dates on Rosh Hashana, everything gets decided for a person on a personal basis. Okay, that's the first line. There's a few pieces, and then we're going to jump in. Next piece. Okay, the Gemara is going to explain what the Gemara is. So it says that he sees the Eibishter that created them sees all their deeds. I have a question. Why does a person get judged on Rosh Hashana more than any other day? The other three items, again, we said they're connected to the other times. Well, what's the connection with a person and a Rosh Hashana? What's the connection of a person and Rosh Hashana? What's the answer? We learned this in the place, search Hashem, seek the Eibishter, and in the days that He is closing, you'll find Him. The Tani be'esem v'chamisha, what does it say there? That on the 25th of Elul, Niva Olam. According to the Abelazar, on the 25th of Elul, the world was created. Ulefizeh, if you count 6 days, Rabelazar says that Tishrei, the world was created. Why is he saying a Tishrei? Because it's the end product that makes it complete. Who was created in Tishrei? Adam Elisha. Chafei Elul started occurring. Shemayim, V'aretz, etc., etc. The 6th day of the creation was already in Tishrei, and then Adam Elisha was created. Coming the Adam Elisha Sheba Nigma Olam Nivra B'Yoyim Shishi. Adam Elisha was created on the 6th day. The Haina Be'echa B'Tishrei. Vegasina and Suas and Biskam. We learn more in that Psikta. So this is very interesting. It says that right there. Rosh Hashana, Adam Elisha was created. So 2 lines from the wide lines. Shah Rishayna, the first hour of the 6th day, what did the Eibishter do? All of the Machshava. The Eibishter had this idea, let's create a person. Nice Adam. That was before Nice Adam. Just in Machshavta Yakdumu Da'ak. Shniyot, the 2nd hour, Nice Adam, Mitzayit, Imalach HaShalit. He decided to discuss this with the Malachim that weren't created too long before that. Bishloisha, on the 3rd hour, Kona Safoda, he started gathering the earth from all different places in the world. He started creating Bedalet, Gila, he put it together with water, he started making it into a form. Bahai Dikmoy, Bevavasoy Goylam, he started putting it together in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and the 6th hour. In the 7th hour of the 6th day, Zag by Neshama, he put in Vayipach Ba'ap of Nishpas Chaim, he put in Neshama. An hour later, Beches, Ichnisa Legan Eden, he says this is the place where you're supposed to be at. But she's in the 9th hour, Nitztava, what's your job here? That you should watch L'Avdo, L'Shamda, that you're supposed to work the land, and you're supposed to watch it, etc. Pu'avu. And Basir, the 10th hour, Salach. 10th hour, the other position was 1 hour. He was put into Gan Eden 1 hour later, and he did something already. The Achas Esther in the 11th hour, that's when the Eibishter came and says, Ayeka, where are you? Nidoin. He was judged then. The 12th hour, Yotze B'dimus. Yotze B'dimus is a lashon saying that he walked out of judgment, and they basically threw him out of Gan Eden. This is a symbol for your children. Just like you stood in judgment on this day, and you walked out in judgment, also on Rosh Hashana, they will stand in front of me and they will walk out of judgment. On the 7th month, on the first day of the month. Here, now, from here we see, why does a person get judged on Rosh Hashana? More than all this. Says it interestingly. In the heavens, in the sky, there's a sign for it. Why Shemaz LaChodesh? What's the sign? What's the Maznayin? What's it called in English? Yeah, what are the what's the constellation? Something like that. What's the one for Chodesh Tishrei? It's Maznayin Ki Bepolas and Maznayin Mishpat Hashem. That's the scales, because that's when the Eibusha does the judgment. Okay, let's skip the next little while, because the next few lines it discusses the argument. Was the world created Chafei Elul? Then Rosh Hashana is the birthday of Adam. Was the world created Chafei Adam? Then Aleph Nisan is the birthday. And if the Aleph Nisan is the birthday, why make judging Adam Nisan on what's it called? So that's a second shitta. Not going to get involved in that. Umiyu. Let's skip those lines. Umiyu Tate Tamiya. I still have a question. The Tinach. That it says a Chafei El the world together. Yeshua, the Am Benisni V'Olam, Akate had a Kosher Duchte, and Amin Rosh Hashana. So I'm just bringing the answer because the answer is very interesting. Yes, Michelle. Benirli Sherotza Mokrim LeZakres is soil Bedinam. The Eibishter wanted to be Mezaka, the Yidden in the Din. Verotz Lodin Sol Bezman Shukla Kabbalah. He wanted to judge the Yidden not Stama day. He wanted to judge them on a day that was already put away for kapara or the slicha, for asking for forgiveness. Because the Eibishter b'Moshe Rabbeinu, the Eibishter forgave the Yidden. That's why Yom Kippur is considered the day that we ask forgiveness. Lefichach Gaza Hashem she'adam lidm Rosh Hashana. The day of Yom Kippur was set aside to be the day for atonement. But therefore, 10 days earlier, the Eibusha decided, let's do 10 days earlier, the day of Rosh Hashana. The Gemara, we're going to see the Gemara so that the tzaddikim gemurim on Rosh Hashana are inscribed and sealed for life. It says it doesn't bring the shoyim, but the shoyim on Rosh Hashana they're inscribed and sealed for Hepech HaChaim, the opposite of life. Beidanim are the ones that are waiting. It goes in Gzad in Shlemen Nichtam Elad Yom Kippurim. She Yitzlich V'Chapa. Nitla Dahem Torah Zman Kadesh Shebo Yefash V'Shu B'Maseim. The Eibishter decided this is a little bit of a backwards thing, because Yom Kippur is a day that I want to atone you. I'm giving you the ability 10 days earlier to ask for forgiveness. I'm giving you the ability on Rosh Hashana to start asking Hashem to forgive me. Who are talking about the Beidanim? If you're by Fashim Masayim, you can look into all you did for Shuvah Hashem. One reason. Could be also that when did the Eibishter, it could be when we read the whole story of Moshe Rabbeinu going up to Shemaim, it doesn't say what the Eibishter did on the second journey up to Shemaim for the 40 days. He started Chodesh El, and he came to Yom Kippur. The Eibishter slach the Eibishter said, I'm going to forgive you. But it's possible that it says that when did the Eibishter decide, I'm going to forgive you? That was on Rosh Hashana. That's when the Eibishter decided, I'm going to forgive Moshe. The Eibishter forgave Moshe, and he says, "Slachti." Again, that's why the Eibishter decided that Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur is a good time to do that. Okay, this is going to again the Maseches B'Shua that we go some like him, some like not like him. But what I want you to do, 2 lines before Gemara, it says here, 3 lines. 1 second, I skipped something. Oh, in the parentheses that I skipped out, it says that because Chofei Elul is the beginning of creation, and therefore from Chofei Elul in Barcelona, and the surrounding countries around Barcelona, they had a minute to wake up Chofei Elul very early to go down. Okay, but here in the second part it says that because the Eibush only started to forgive them, but eventually only forgave them on Yom Kippur. You don't have to wake up Chofei Elul early, and therefore the big Gedana, which is in Italy, that a minute not to wake up in the morning for Rosh Hashana. Some places they start on the first day of Elul, like the Sfardim do. Okay, what do we in Chabad do? We don't wake up a clock, right? We come out of Shoshana at 10 o'clock, and we're screaming that I've stood up with Kidamti Baneshev, I woke up middle of the night, and I'm... Yeah. My father used to say that he heard from someone. That's I think about from Tfiga. I think I said it once. That we say every morning, we say, that the Eibusher gives the sechvi, the rooster, the wisdom, the habchim to the day and night. He looks at a bachan from 7 to 10 o'clock in the morning. She's such a smart rooster. At 10 o'clock, he knows the difference. Okay, anyways. Okay, that's the interesting Ran. Basically, there's different places that you do different minhagim and wake up accordingly, and the whole story with all the Medicine, when he was created, when he was the whole creation, how long it took, and how long it took him, unfortunately, to do what he did, and therefore we're still not Mashiach Kenu. Okay, let's go right now. Let's go to the next page. Let's go next page. Tezayin or base. About 9 lines from the top. The Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. This Gemara brings in a bunch of statements from Rabbi Yitzchak, and one of them is the Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, which we learned like last one. I think last. So next to it, if you scoot over, in the Gemara the Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Gimel Dvar Maskin Aved. There are 3 things that remind Lamaila the sins of a person are reminded Lamaila. So right here, the Malashah says right here that on Rosh Hashana, all the sins, go up Lamaila on the judge. We're being judged on Rosh Hashana, so all the sins go up. But these 3 things, on a daily basis, if you do these 3 things, your Avedas will be judged. Your standing in the world will be judged. What are these 3 things? If you walk under a wall that is about to fall in, and look into the davening, and calling and telling the Eibush to judge someone because he did so and so to me. So what are these 3 things? If you walk under a wall that's about to fall down, there's malachim that hold up the wall that shouldn't fall down on you. But as you walk down, you're being judged on that moment. Are you worthy of being saved? Let's examine you. Do you have more Vedas? Same thing also Iyun Tefillah, which is a very interesting thing. Machlokes. Rashi says Iyun Tefillah means that he's me'ayin in davening, he's davened nicely, and he says, because I daven nicely, I am now worthy of being, taken care of. I'm worthy of the Eibush answering my tefillahs. Tosfos in Iyun Tefillah says, in the beginning, says a different shot. He says, let's see, Tosfos for Iyun Tefillah, Amir Ben Atam, Iyun Tefillah, the Hacha, Ki Ahu de Get Pashat. Iyun Tefillah is like the Gemara in Get Pashat. What is saying Get Pashat? The Gimel Dvam Einon Mitzvah Mechal Yoim. 3 things a person will never get away with daily. And one of the things is Iyun Tefillah, that a person will almost daily, whenever you daven 3 tefillahs a day, you will definitely not have kavana, you will not have intent, iyun, and tefillah. Right? They asked someone, why are the Jews so successful in business? And why the Goyim not? Right? The famous lot says, we daven 3 times a day, so we think business 3 times a day. Right? So, unfortunately, no one gets away with it. The Gemara, that's what it says there in the Gemara. He doesn't have kavanah. The Shalmit says it even further, and it's interesting. Like I said, you're in good company. The Perek HaYakoyim, Amar Abchia Rava, Abchia, the big Abchia said, Min yoymer kavanis, I never had kavanas at tefillah. El Chadzman, one day I had kavanah in davening, and even then, boys mechamenes, I wanted to have kavanah. Ve'heris belibi, and I started thinking in my heart, Ve'amri man olal kamei malka. In the hierarchy of the royalty, who is first? Man kal kadmoi, who goes first? Al kafta. Yesh Galusa. Yesh Galusa was the Nasi, the president of the Eden. Al Kafta was some kind of what's it called, minister. So if two of them come in front of the king, who did the letter in first? This is what he started in the davening. And the Shmuel Amar, Ana Monis Bachaya. I started counting little chicks that are walking around. The Bana Bachia Amar, Ana Monis Demusi. I started counting rows of building bricks. Amar Avmana. I would hold a hat of something, a kerchief on my head. When we came to the Moedim, it would fall off, or get ripped, and I was thinking that it doesn't fall off. As soon as a person davens and is not thinking what he's davening, right away they're judged. So that's very, very difficult. If we are not nitzol b'chol day, if every day that we daven, we're trying to daven, it doesn't work, and we're judged every moment. That's not good. So Taisa says no, doesn't make sense. It's not shaykh to do that at all, and he goes according to what Rashi says, and he says the opposite, that if you have kavana, if you are ma'ayin in davening, anytime you're ma'ayin, it's a good thing. However, if you're ma'ayin, like Rashi says, if you're ma'ayin, but you think, because I davened so nicely, the Eibush has to listen to me. That's not good. That's what the book says. It's talking about someone that is really working hard to have kavanah b'teach, and he's trusting that his teit filos and ishmaz, that his davening is going to be listened to. Because a few places. Three things: lengthen, give you longevity, and one of the things is choshav ma'ich b'tfilos. If someone davens b'alichos, he has long life. And he asks, could you say that being ma'ayin davening is a good thing? Someone that davens long and he looks inside, in davening he gets heartaches. What is techeles? He says techeles is vaychal, davening. Mumushacha means lengthening. A long davening give you machlev. What does it mean there? He says in his heart that as soon as it becomes a ma'ayin so deeply, the Eibush is going to listen to him. He davens so much for kavana, and he realizes the Eibush is not listening, and he gets a heartache from it. His nice is techeles lashon tefillah. Nice because she'ein bakosha nice. Techeles lashon tefillah lashon b'chal Moshe. The last three lines of Tosis. The three things maskir of Vashon Adam Yom Tefillah shel dekach befashon ma'is v'loima v'terchu b'schiyosav. Again, the same thing. Tosis is basically saying, like Rashi, that as soon as you daven and you're trying to, you ma'ayin, and it could be that you davening beautiful in every word, but that's not the issue. The issue is that you rely on it and say, because I daven so nice, the Eibush has to listen. That's the issue. That's what the Tosis finishes up.
So when he says Ian Tefillah, he's talking in a negative way. If you have Ian Tefillah,
so that's why Ian Tefillah is beautiful.
No, but he's saying from Ian Tefillah.
Right. So the Gemara over there. So you have to say it right. So meforshim explained the Gemara over there. It says Eina Nitzel Istaka. That's what it means. That a person is never ever has Ian Tefillah. Every person will daven 3 times a day, and I guarantee you, the Gemara guarantees that you will not have Iyon Tefillah. Not possible. You will think about whatever in the world. That's over there. That's a negative thing. However, if you could be ma'ayin Tefillah, if you sit and actually look inside a siddur and every word, somehow you manage to be ma'ayin every word, that's beautiful. And that is beautiful. And that's ma'arich niyamav. There's a third one, that you're ma'ayin Tefillah, but now you're like a misnagel. I daven nicely, now the Eibush owes me. That's
dangerous.
That's right. Don't go on. Zadik, I'm back in the Gemara. What's Maaseh Chaver? You go to the Eibush and says, look, he did something bad to me. You have to judge him. The Eibush says, okay, before I judge him, let me see where are you? Okay, zayt the Gemara weiter. The Amar of Avin, Kol HaMoisid L'Chavenoi, Kunan Eshtchila. How do we know that someone asked the Eibush to judge his friend? He will be punished first. And ever, V'toyma Sari El Avim, this we read this on Rosh Hashana. Chamasi Alecha, I'm upset at you. So what does it say there? Yishbei Hashem beini u'benecha. Let the Eibush judge between me and you. And what does it say afterwards? Kal parshas later. She died first because she called him to the Eibush. And we can't. She was a tzedekis, but even for tzaddik, the Eibush, his guards very carefully. On the other side, there's 4 things that you can do that will rip apart the gzadin of a person. Elen, tzedakah, Pashat giving tzedakah, tzaika, screaming, shinu Hashem, v'shinu maisa, screaming and changing your name and changing deeds. Tzedakah saves you from death. Tzaika, how do we know that screaming helps? He screamed to Hashem, Batzalim, something was bothering them. It seemed the Eibush took them out. I was learning a Maimah, Shuvah Yisrael, I think it's Vav Zayin, and Rebbe discusses there that the
That part you'll edit out, yeah?
what?
You'll edit that part
What?
out. It's a little too much yeshes.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Sorry. So the Maimah Rebbe discusses that the Yidden have to return until Havaya is going to be connected to the Lekecha.
You sent it over.
I told you. So the Shvai Lekecha is if your avoid of Yud Kevavke is perfect, the mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs, everything is good. That's what's the goal. But if your avoid of Yud Kevavke is not good, well, how can you fix Yud Kevavke? So the Rebbe says you have to scream. Wash it, scream. You have to scream. Anyways, that's Tzaika. And then after she changed the name from Solai to Soda, she had a son. Shina Maisa, this is what we're going to read on Yom Kippur by Yoina. The Eibush saw their deeds that they made tshuva. The Eibush, went back, calmed down, and did not do what he wanted to do to Nineveh. When you move, something good happens. Hashem told Avram, go away from this land. And only afterwards it says he says, I will make you into a big nation. So the one that says there's only 4 things, but you see there's a 5th thing if you move away. And for the Gemara, who's chuzat solo, the Eibush told Avram, go into Tzalon. So it's not the fact that he moved place, the fact that he's not Tzalon. The Hanile, the schus of Eretz Yisrael is Mahanile. The next Gemara discusses Mahamad Rabbi Mitzvah, Chayvad, we're not going to go into this whole Gemara. It says that the person has to go see his Rebbe every Yom Tov. And that's the minute they're not going to come to the Rebbe every single Yom Tov. How do we know that? We know that from the Navi that she didn't have a son, and Elio promised her a kid. No. Isha Hashanah, not Isha Hashanah, yeah.
Elisha.
But so Elisha
Elisha gave her a kid. Elisha was staying.
Yeah, right. The Geichazi was right. Elisha, not Leon. Elisha, correct.
Elisha would stay in their house, and they made a special room.
And basically, yeah, correct. And it says there the husband asked her, then the kid passed away, and she ran off to the Navi, and the husband asked, "It's not Chodesh, not Shabbos. It's Mistam for them. Every Chodesh Shabbos, you should go, and every Yom Tov you have to go to see that." Anyways, Zakt the Gemara weiter. We're going to skip a little bit in the wide lines, somewhere in the middle. Amar Rab Krus Bedoy, Amar Rab Krus Bedoy. Amar Rab Yochanan. Shloisha Sfarim Niftachim Rosh Hashana. 3 books are opened Lamaila on Rosh Hashana. Echad Shel Rosh Hashana Gemurim, Adash Shel Ve'echad Shel Tzadikim Gemurim, and 1 at Tzadik Gamal, 1 book of Tzadik Gemurim, Ve'echad Shel Beinanim, and 1 of Beinanim. Right, you know in Williamsburg, if you call someone a goy is a goy. Who's a goy Gamal? Only a yid can be a goy Gamal. The Williamsburg, never heard of it. The only yid can be goy. This is tzaddikim gemurim. The regular tzaddikim know the part of the beinanim. Anyway, so their book is opened up on Rosh Hashana. Tzaddikim gemurim nichtav nichtam la'alta l'chaim. Right away, the tzaddikim are signed, sealed, and signed for life. Rashoim gemurim nichtav nichtam la'alta l'misa. The Rashoim are inscribed and sealed for death. Beinanim tluim v'ayim Rashanim kippurim. Beinanim are not inscribed, they're inscribed but not sealed. Zacho, nichtav l'chaim, and Yom Kippurim is this decision, should they live or should they die? Lo zacho, nichtav l'misa. Amar Rabbi Michael, how do we say it? It says in Pasuk, Yimacho mesefer chaim v'tzadikim al tikaseifu. They should be erased from the book of life, and it shouldn't be inscribed with tzadikim. Yimacho mesefer, who should be erased in the book of life? The Sefer Shel Hashoim, Gemurim. Chaim, what book of life is there that the Shoim are not erased from? The Sefer Shel Tzadikim. Im Tzadikim al tikaseifu, the Sefer Shel Beinanim, that they should be inscribed in the Sefer of Beinanim. V'im ayin, Moshe Rabbeinu told the Eibush that if you erase the entire nation, then we meet as well. V'im ayin mecheinu misifrecha shekosafta, erase me from the book, the Torah that you wrote. Mecheinu, erase me. Who gets erased? Sefer Shel Hashoim. Misifrecha. What's this? The holy Sefer. Tzadikim. Shekosafta is the Shvan Shel Tzabedin. But you asked the question. Someone passed away on Rosh Hashana. What happened to that? So it says Taisus over here. V'nichtam l'alta l'chaim. Taisus on the bottom. Tazayin. Midek choshev beinanim, because he mentioned beinanim. Mashma, what is a tzaddik? What's the beinanim according to here? Half mitzvahs, half vedas. Mashma the tzaddikim, I guess gemurim, kori lemishus chiyosav merubin v'shoim gemurim lemishav v'nosav merubin. Who's called the tzaddik gamel? Someone that has more schuyas. Who's called a Rosh Hashana? Someone that has more vedas. But the fact is, upa'amim hatzadikim nichtamim lemisa. Right away, we see. Okay, it's covered. The tzaddikim are sealed lemisa. So the fact is, sometimes you see that tzaddikim they die in Rosh Hashana. La'alta. So what's pshat? T'chsiv u'mashalim l'son of aponav lehavidoi. One second. There's the answer already. He pays the sonim upon of lavidoi. Someone's schus was more than his avedas. Doime. Someone has more schus. What is it like? As if someone that he's sentenced to death, as if he burned the Torah himself. How is that possible? You had more schus. And nothing was left behind. Everything was burned. If he has more avedas, doime is what is he likened to? He didn't miss any mitzvah. So what's going on? How you say that tzaddikim are sentenced to life and Hashem is sentenced to death, and we see the fact is many tzaddikim die. All had Rosh Hashana. Yeah. So the answer to this is what he called Misa by the Shoim here. The Gabbat Tzadikim Chaim Kulam Chayim Ba. Misa and Chaim has nothing to do with living down here. That's a different judgment. Finished your mission in the world, and not didn't finish your mission in the world. The fact is, the Eibusha decides that a tzaddik, he dies. Kapot Misa is Mechapa, and therefore right away he goes into Gan Eden. Adash, on the other hand, I don't want him to go into Gan Eden. So I'm going to let him live another short while to use up all his credits he has to go into Gan Eden, and when he's done, I'll take him to Gehenna. That's basically the idea. Other people touched, accordingly, the touched, the Ran actually touched, is like, what's it called? It says in Pasuk by Malchus. It says in Pasuk by where it says by Malchus that if there's a mishpat, if it's diko, it's a tzaddik, v'shiyas alasha. They make the tzaddik and the tzaddik, and Hashem to Rasha. And it's a very simple explanation. Before you're judged, what do we say in America? That you're
Innocent.
an innocent until
Proven guilty.
yeah, well, yeah. So, but in Tailis Taka, you're innocent until proven guilty. Before you judged, you're a regular person. If you're Rasha, if you're tzaddik, it's the tzaddik. So to explain that a yid is judged on Rosh Hashana, he's judged, and he's decided that he gets to be a tzaddik. Not that he is an actual tzaddik, but he gets to be a tzaddik to live another year. Why is he getting to live another year? Because I want him to live out his life here and not go into Gan Eden. So the moment the Eibusha decides that, he makes a dinamish, but says, I'm going to consider you a tzaddik. L'chaim. And I'm going to take the tzaddik, I'm going to give you Lamisa. And he sends him Lamisa. And the moment the Eibusha does the judgment, it's dikot a tzaddik, but she is also not that the person is bad, but that was the tzaddik and Rashi here is not on the person, but is on the judgment part. Anyways, that's the Gemara here. Now we're going to finish the Gemara. To finish the Gemara over here, I think actually no, not here. Daf Yud Chesam and Aleph. Chesam and Aleph. And this is the last thing that connected to Shoshana. There's a couple other things also, but and the wide lines in the bottom, Chesam and Aleph, the wide lines in the bottom, 4 lines from the wide lines. Amar Rabbi Shmuel ba'inyan. Chesam and Aleph. Amar Rabbi Shmuel ba'inyan. B'shmei the Rav. Shmuel said the Rav. Minayin gzadin shel tzibur she'en nechtam. How do we know that a tzibur that has a decree, that decree never happens? Ein nechtam, it never gets the verdict, never passes down. So the Gemara ein nechtam, really a tzibur nothing happens. So if you look now, so many things happen to our entire community. It says in pasuk, the pasuk reads by Yirmiyah, it says that even if you wash your sins with netta, with some chemicals, it's not going to help you. Nichtam avaynich, nichtam shat kesem, the word kesem, that it's a stain. Your sin stained you and it's done. You're stained. So we see that even that a tzibur that made averos, the stain stays. There could be a gzadin. Even though a decree was decreed, you could turn it around. Nika, you could rip you could tear the decree apart. Shnema, kashem elekenu. The Eibusha says, who is like the Yidden, Kimigoi Godel, Ashaloi Lekim Kovemelov, who is like the nation Yidden that they have an Eibusha that's so close to them, Kashem Lekim B'chol Kein Elov, whenever we call out, he's there. Kashem Lekim B'chol Kein Elov. So whenever we call out, we have the ability to actually take the decree and tear it apart. It says in Pasuk, that he says, B'chol Kein Elov, whenever we call to the Eibusha doesn't listen to us. That's not true. We just learned what's some Gedalia? Dirsha Hashem Be'Matzoi. Only in certain places, Be'Matzoi, certain times the Eibusha listens to you. So not always, the Eibusha doesn't listen to you always. And for the Gemara, simple answer, this comes down to halacha. Hasam b'yachid, hacha b'tzibur. B'yachid, if you're by yourself, the Eibusha doesn't listen to you always. Be'Matzoi, whenever he's there, whenever you can find him, at certain occasions, he'll listen to you. B'tzibur, if the tzibur gets together and starts screaming, and you could take away the decree. And Allah, it's brought down that the 10 days between Rosh Hashana and Kippur are called the Yishav Hashem Matzeh, that even a yachid is considered like a tefillah zrab. V'yachid emas, and like it says here, and it brings down Allah that the 10 days between Rosh Hashana and Kippur is considered the Eibush that's close by. So another thing we're talking about the Asazim et Shuvah. There was a story with Naval. Naval was a rich man. He had a lot of sheep. David HaMelech's people they didn't watch the sheep, but they made sure to guard it, that the sheep shouldn't get hurt, getting harmed. And then David HaMelech, when a shearing time came, David HaMelech sent 10 of his people to go to him and say that you have so many sheep, you have plenty of, give me, we watched your sheep, we made sure no harm happens to them, give me something in return. And he gave them drinks and he sent them off and he made fun of David HaMelech. So 10 days later, it says the Eibusha killed him. It was like 10 days later. Why did the Eibusha give him 10 days? First answer is, David HaMelech sent 10 of his people to Novel. Novel did not treat him nicely, but back in the days, there was a thing, if someone comes to you, you have to give him something to eat and drink. So he gave them 10 drinks, For each drink that he gave, one for each person, the Eibishter gave him 1 day. That's one answer. That the 10 days, what's the 10 days? The Eibishter, not after 10 days right after the story happened, but it could be the Eibishter waited for Novel during Aseres made Tshuva, and he wanted to see that he makes Tshuva. As soon as he didn't make Tshuva, he took care of it. Now we know also that Aseres made Tshuva, it's time for us to make Tshuva. We say by the Sana Toikev, what's Kivnei Molen? My Kivnei Molen. Hacha Targimu, Hacha in Bavel, Targimu, they touched Kivnei Molen, Kibnei Imrana, like lambs, the sons of sheep, lambs. Now what? They would walk them through Tachas Hashavet under the stick, and they would count them one by one. So they would walk one by one. So we all go in front of the Eibishter Rosh Hashana, Kivnei Molen, like sheep. Somewhere in Mount Meron, there is I guess back then there was a way to go up that the path was very narrow, and they will only go single file, narrow path, and they only go single file. So the same idea, we go in front of the Eibishter one by one. That's Moen. What's Moen? Moen means modest, means to listen to follow orders, like the army of David, that when they walked out, they walked one by one with bittul. Even though every human being on a Shoshana walks by the Eibishter one by one, we're still, the Eibishter looks at all of us in one time, one glance. We learned in our Mishnah. What does it say in our Mishnah? Someone, the one that creates all our hearts together. Hamevin, Kol Masayim, he understands all their deeds, the judgment. Maikama. Ileme, if you want to say Hachkama. The that he created all of us. Yeah? And he united all our hearts together. 1 second. Really? All our hearts are united? We don't see people that are united. 1 second. The Lavachio, it's not like that. We're not united. And Lavachio, this is what he meant to say. Hayoitza, the one that creates the Eden, Roya Yachad Libam, together in one glance, he sees all the hearts, or maybe in Kol Masayim, understands all the Eden deeds. And that's how we go in front of the Eibishter on the Shoshana. And the Eibishter is going to give us a Moira Digayah. And I made a mark on Shah.